If Navarre is on your list for potentially your next home, what we're going to be doing is breaking down Navarre, a relocation guide, talking everything that is Navarre. So we're going to be breaking into the beaches. We're going to be breaking into that cost of living. We're going to be breaking into lifestyle, schools. And then towards the end of this video, we're going to tell you why us personally, although we do love Navarre, we didn't choose it as our home. Before I break into all that stuff though, let's go into a few stats, some of those basics to know about Navarre. What is the population of Navarre? Navarre is actually the second most populous, and it's not a city, it's an unincorporated community, but let's just wrap into the cities when we're talking about the Pensacola Metro. It is the second most populated, coming in at 40,700 based off of 2024 numbers. And it has actually grown 8.83% in population since 2020. Where is Navarre, Florida though? It might be something that you just heard of. A lot of people always talk about Navarre Beach, its beauty, the sereneness that is Navarre Beach. But where is it? So if we're talking about up in the Panhandle, the furthest northwest portion of Florida, you've got Pensacola. Navarre isn't that far from Pensacola. We're talking probably like a 40-minute drive. And then if you do want to go over into the airport, that is Pensacola International Airport, tack on, I'd say probably about 5 to 10 minutes depending on the traffic. Let's talk about one of the top things that Navarre is known for though. Let's talk about those beaches. Obviously the closest beach that you are going to access from Navarre is going to be Navarre Beach, and it's right there. So if you're right in the heart of Navarre, it depends on which end you're kind of coming from. I'd say probably about like 5 to 10 minutes to get straight over into the beach. Another great thing about Navarre Beach also is that you don't have to pay a toll. If you're going over to Pensacola, you do have to pay a toll in order to access that beach. Navarre, you do not. The bridge is free, so that is something nice that so many people do like about accessing Navarre Beach. Another great thing that people do love about Navarre Beach is when we are talking about tourism, it doesn't get near the tourism that say somewhere like Pensacola Beach or then also Destin does get. It gets a lot less tourism. Yes, they do get tourism, but it's not as extreme as these other two beaches. And you can kind of see that. So like there's a few restaurants over there, nothing like Pensacola Beach. So we're talking about like Juana's. That's one of the spots that we personally like to go with our family. We like to play speedball, which is like just a kid version of volleyball. You got Andy D's over there. It's on the north side, kind of more towards the pier. And a fun fact about the pier is Navarre's fishing pier is the largest one within Florida, which is pretty freaking cool. We love to go out there and just pretty much sightsee. We haven't done any of the pier fishing yet. We prefer kind of fishing off of a boat. But yeah, if you want to go fishing, it does have the longest fishing pier in Florida. Here's one great thing that when we are talking about Navarre that we personally love is it is right in the middle. So yes, you do have access to its main beach, which is going to be Navarre Beach, but you're also right pretty much dead center in the middle of Pensacola Beach and then also Destin. So if you want access either one of those beaches, kind of change it up a little bit, you can do that. Pensacola Beach is going to be just a little bit like 5 minutes closer, looking at about a 32-minute drive from Navarre over into Pensacola Beach. And if you want to go down to Destin, you're looking at about a 37-minute drive. Quick note on that though is tourism both ways, that will increase a little bit. It will increase a lot more going into Destin though, because Destin is a much more populated area when we are talking about those tourists coming in during the summer season. Pensacola, it's not so bad. I'd tack on probably about 5 minutes. Destin, there's times where we've had people say that it took them an extra hour to get over to Destin because the bridge that goes from Fort Walton Beach over into Destin does get super jam-packed. And Pensacola Beach is definitely one of those more vacation zone, tourist zone areas that people do like to go to when they are vacationing in the area. You see that with they have so many different restaurants in the area. So you got Flounders, they just put in a freaking Senior Frogs over there. They got all the putt-putt over there. They got some great wings over there. They got some great restaurants over in Pensacola Beach. And some people do enjoy the fact that you go over there and it feels a little bit like you're on vacation. Actually, we just spoke with a client recently, and I always like to ask you when you do decide to call in, hey, what do you want your lifestyle to look like? And one of them actually said to us, I want to feel like I am on vacation all the time, right next to that beach, right next to that vacation zone, which, like I said, everyone has their own different preferences. We have some people who say they want to be right there, smack dab in the middle of the chaos, and some of them say they want to be more kind of in the Milton Pace area, away from the chaos, but still have access to that beach, just within like 30 to 40 minutes. Like I mentioned though, Pensacola Beach, if you are wanting to access it, you are going to have to pay a toll coming from Gulf Breeze proper over to Pensacola Beach. The thing though is if you want to go from Navarre over to Navarre Beach and then take the seashore all the way over, you wouldn't have to pay. It is a little bit longer of a drive, you know, but it's nice that you can do that and not have to pay the toll. And they actually don't charge you that toll coming off Pensacola Beach into Proper 2. So if you want to come back the other way, you can do that. Then of course there is Destin. Like I mentioned, it's probably about 37-minute drive without traffic. If you want to go over and access Destin, really get a feel for that top tour spot within the United States, you can do that. So you can pick from all these different beaches. It's just so cool that since Navarre is centrally located, you can access any and all these beaches whenever you'd like to. Let's go into this cost of living though. What is it going to cost for you to live within Navarre? And what we like to do is we like to break it down into a few different scenarios where we have your cost of living index, pretty much rolling all of your numbers into one. So when we're talking about the cost of groceries, restaurants, transportation, all these different things into one number, it's your cost of living index. If it's above 100, then it's more expensive than your national average. And if it's below 100, then it is cheaper than your national average. Navarre is coming in at a 99.8. So that means it's just 0.2% lower than your national average. So it's right there. And there's a big reasoning for this. Let's break it down even further though. So when we're talking about your groceries, the rule of thumb that we always mention to people who are kind of discovering the area is once you cross the bridge from the mainland, so the mainland of Pensacola, the mainland of Milton and Pace, groceries do tend to get a little bit more expensive. And over in Navarre, that cost of living index on groceries comes in at a 101.5. So just a little bit over national average, not too much. One that is more than your national average though is when we are talking about your utilities, where utilities come in at a 105 over in Navarre. One that will come in over your national average though is going to be your housing. Your housing, this incorporates the cost to purchase and then also rent a property within Navarre. And I try specifically dialing in because a lot of times if you just type in, the cost of living of housing or whatever it might be for Navarre, a lot of times it pulls in Navarre Beach and then we get that number inflated a little bit more. So I specifically typed in the zip code trying to narrow down as much as possible. And it came in at a cost of living index of a 111.8. And then last but not least, we're going to be talking about utilities. Utilities are, from what we've seen, typically more expensive in this area, this portion of the panhandle where it comes in at a 108.2. Biggest driving factor for that utility price being so high is our electricity is a little bit more expensive. When you compare gas and a few of the other utilities, they're pretty much on par with your national average or the state of Florida, but our electricity costs do seem to be a little bit more expensive up here as compared to the rest of Florida and then also the United States. As we break into these costs, I want to break into your median sales prices on houses, but I want to throw something out there because this is something that I feel like I dedicate every single time that I get on a call with you guys talking about homeowners insurance. It is a worry when you are moving down here. You're in a hurricane prone area, so you'd think that your insurance would be skyrocketed, right? So what we kind of see and the trend that we do see is if you are within flood zones and they do different ratings of flood zones, that's typically when you do see that your insurance rates are going to go a little bit higher. If you're going to live right on the Sound, talking about this Navarre area, expect your insurance to be pretty damn pricey. Outside of that, from our experience, it might not be the same depending on where you're coming from. The property insurance, the homeowner's insurance isn't really all that bad. So just to throw some numbers out there for you, we own 2 properties that were within Gulf Breeze. Both of them are outside of the flood zone. One's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. The other is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. One of them, I believe, is like $2,800 a year, and the other one's right around $3,100 a year, I think, right around there. And one of them is a little bit more expensive because it's a landlord policy. It is a rental that we do have. It's really not that bad considering that we also own a property in Lake of the Ozarks, Missouri. That property insurance, that homeowner's insurance, is more expensive. The property that we still own in Colorado is still more expensive than what we pay here in Florida. If you do want to know a little bit more, just reach out to us and we could dive in a little bit deeper. And when we are talking about that homeowner's insurance, because that is always one of your top concerns when you are planning on relocating into the Emerald Coast. Now let's talk about those median home prices, right? What are we looking at if you're looking at purchasing a home within Navarre? Again, I tried my best. I always try to narrow this down because Navarre Beach is separate from Navarre to narrow it down, but it still kind of pulls in some stats from Navarre Beach, which I feel like hyperinflate these numbers a little bit. So let's go over these and I'll also kind of go in depth when we're talking about your attached versus your detached numbers. So your overall number, when we're lumping some in your single family into your attached products, you got a median sales price of $435,000. These numbers are based off of February of 2025, and that number is actually up 8.43% year over year. We're comparing February of 2024 to February of 2025. Let's break down though into your single family houses. The median sales price on your single family houses comes in at $408,000, and that number is also up year over year, 2.52%. So if you already own a property in Navarre, you're getting some great equity gains. It's awesome to see. Here's a number though that I want you to look at is your attached products. And this is similar to when we're talking about Pensacola because of Perdido Key and a lot of the luxury condos that you do experience over in the Perdido Key area. Is when we're talking about your attached products, your median sales price comes in at $740,000. And that is because of those luxury condos that you are purchasing over on Navarre Beach right on the Gulf. Now we're going to break into a few lifestyle things. The number one being is obviously schools. You want to know what the schools are going to be like in Navarre. This is another question you guys always ask if you are moving here with kids. Hey, what are the schools going to be like? And that's why we like to cover this often as much as possible, because these grades do change, guys. Before I do that though, if you are looking at purchasing real estate here in the Emerald Coast, give us a call or text at the phone number right below. Right below it there. We always answer. Doesn't matter day or time, but if you're not quite ready to purchase, do yourself a favor and follow along by smashing that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up and notification bell. That way you're notified every single time we put out a brand new video. All right, let's talk about these schools, because this is something that many times when you guys are looking in the Navarre area, you are comparing Navarre over into Gulf Breeze, because Gulf Breeze is known for how excellent their schools are. Now, I will tell you that Navarre does have great schools. There's a few things that irk us about them, and I'm actually going to break into that a little bit when I talk about why we didn't choose Navarre, but they still have great schools. We actually have a great friend who works in the school system over there, and he always tells us it is a great school system. So in the broader context, this is all a portion of Santa Rosa County. When we're talking about Santa Rosa County, the grading according to niche.com comes in at an A-. All right, I'm going to break it down into a few different schools, and these aren't going to be all the schools within Navarre. I pretty much took all the ones in the main hub of Navarre right there, so we could cover those ones right there. All right, so we're going to be talking about Holly Navarre Primary School, which is going to be a pre-K and then also K through second grade. That grade comes in at a B+. Then there's Holly Navarre Intermediate School. That one is going to be grades 3rd through 5th, and that one comes in at an A- according to niche.com. Awesome, we're running to our A's now. Then you've got Holly Navarre Middle School. That grade comes in at an A-, and the middle schools here, or that one is grade 6th through 8th, and then we're going to break over into Navarre High School, and this one also comes in at an A-. So it's awesome to see that majority of these schools are coming in at an A grade according to niche.com. Now, after I kind of mentioned all that stuff, I might have given away a little bit why we didn't choose this Navarre area, but let me just kind of throw that out there, and like I said, I'll go in a little bit deeper when I'm talking about why we didn't choose Navarre. Next thing that we are going to be breaking into is kind of that vibe, that lifestyle that is Navarre, and the best way that I can describe it is Navarre does have a huge military presence, which many people who do relocate there, they love it. They love that military presence. You do have a lot of people, whether they're talking about going over to NAS, yes. I'd say probably the majority of it might be coming from like Eglin Air Force Base. I honestly don't know the stats on this. I don't know where they're coming from, but we do know from insider info and those who live over there that there's a huge military presence over in Navarre. Also, another thing I will say is Navarre is doing a great job. So if you go into Navarre and like you even compare it to Gulf Breeze, the centers, the communities, the strip malls and everything do seem a lot newer, and they are doing a great job of just like giving a facelift to Navarre and making it look a little bit newer. And you do feel that vibe over there. I will also say that when we are talking about Navarre, they do a great job of offering some great restaurant options, and that's something that we personally do like. We travel over to Navarre quite often to take advantage of their restaurants. In fact, our favorite sushi restaurant is over there, Slippery Mermaid. I always throw that recommendation to anyone coming out here and like, hey, where can I get some good food? I was like, I'm gonna tell you right now, if you like sushi, hit up that Slippery Mermaid. It's got a great like little beach vibe in it. I love it. Slippery Mermaid is our top spot by far. And after saying that, I'm gonna kind of talk about why we personally did not choose Navarre. So one of the biggest reasons is our family does love to travel, and we wanted to be closer to the airport. Being close to the airport meant Gulf Breeze for us. We're gonna be probably about 20 minutes closer to the airport, and that's something that is important to us. It might not be that important to you, but for us personally, we're like, you know what, we want to be a little bit closer to the airport. Another thing is we love the events that the Pensacola downtown does throw that they do hold within Pensacola downtown, and we want to be able to just hop, skip, and jump right over to downtown and take advantage of those events without having to travel so far. And so that's why we chose to live where we live as opposed to living in Navarre. Another thing is we moved down here for the beach, and us personally, we might be one of those crazy people who kind of like more of the chaotic areas when we are looking to go to the beach and such. It's just that vibe, guys. When you're in the area, it's a beach community, you kind of want to feel that vibe like you are on vacation. Where if you go over to Navarre, yes, they do get tourism and such like that, but it's a lot more laid back, right? It's not as hectic, it's not as crazy, it doesn't feel as vacation, it just feels more like a serene beach trip, which is Navarre. We just wanted to kind of be a little bit closer to Pensacola Beach so we could take advantage of that. And I kind of already like alluded to this a little bit, is the school setup. We saw that and we didn't like it. We didn't like how many schools, you know, pretty much the primary, intermediate, middle, and then high school, all the different schools you'd have to go to. I mean, I guess technically you're only adding one school in there, but we want to be just your traditional elementary, middle, high school. And then also Gulf Breeze is always known for their schools. Not to say that Navarre doesn't have great schools. It's just that everyone rant and raves about everything that is Gulf Breeze when we are talking about the school system. And that is a big reason why we chose Gulf Breeze. With that being said, Navarre is amazing. We personally love Navarre, and we are down there often, taking advantage of the beaches, taking advantage of the restaurants and all the activities that they do have within Navarre. Holly by the Sea is a great community that a lot of people do end up choosing because it's a golf cart community. They have their access into their like little private recreation center that is across the way right off of the sound. So Navarre is great. Don't let our choices be the one that dictate yours. We're just telling you personally why we didn't choose it, but that might be reasons that you really don't care about, and I might have mentioned some things about Navarre that you personally do like. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I greatly appreciate it. If you are planning on relocating into the Pensacola metro area, give us a call or text at that phone number right below right there. We always answer. It doesn't matter day or time, but if you're not quite ready to purchase, do yourself a favor and smash that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up, notification bell, that way you're notified every single time we put out a brand new video. Till next time, we love you.